Welcome to Married AF. We are your hosts, Brooke and Randal Fowler. On this show, we discuss the topics that really matter.
Like big veiny cocks and our favorite TV shows.
So pull up a chair at our kitchen table and hang out.
While I bulldog my nuts. What's up,
Can hear you giggling.
Welcome back, everybody. You know who it is. We have a best guest we've ever had on this show tonight. We got my brother, Fred McGinnis, on the show. We talked about him in last week's episode, and after I told the story, I had a few people reach out to us on Twitter laughing about it and reached out to me talking about it.
I could just picture it.
Yeah, and so to jump right into it, I'm going to get Fred to tell his side of that story. I told him the story about me and you driving through. It was either Mason Court or Northwood in my blue Cavalier, and thinking that we were cool as shit. I don't remember why we were there, but going to get somebody or something, and we're rolling right through the OG part, you know, the old school guys sitting out on the corner, and Fred just yells out the N-word and ducks down in his seat. And it's just me, the whitest guy on earth, driving. That's all they see.
You would have, you could have, your look, dude, your look was priceless. You just knew you were dead. You were like, I'm dead. Well, you're right. That was just one of the many funniest moments we've ever had. But yeah, I remember, and you never let that go. The whole weekend, I think we were going to pick up. No, you were picking me up because I was at the Boys and Girls Club. Probably, and yeah, you were picking me up. We were going back to your house, and I knew when you pulled into the projects, I said, I'm gonna get his ass today. You know.
Hey, well, I want to talk about that. That's one big thing I want to start off talking about, because, you know, a lot of listeners, if you do, you know Fred from some of the stories I've talked about, but his family, he's got two older brothers, great guys, but, you know, you came up, your wonderful mother was, you know, single mother, you know, for our whole time, raising, you know, three boys, and, you know, you guys could have easily, you know, went the wrong way in life, and all the McGinnis boys killed it. You know, you got Tony, Fred's older brother. Tony's probably the best guy I know.
Is that Panther Tail?
No, that's Sed. Sed is the one with the biggest dick on earth. His brother Tony, I'm sure, is doing just fine, but Tony is he's just always been a solid guy. I mean, he's always worked with Boys and Girls Club. He's always, you know, advocated in the community.
And he's
the guy,
like
I'll let Fred talk about him
because,
I mean, I know Fred looks up to both his brothers, but Tony's impeccable. He should run for president. So, yeah, for you, Fred, you know, like, how do you explain, you know, what would you say to kids that are maybe coming up in your predicament that feel like they aren't going to have a fair shake in life? Because you guys outkick the coverage.
Yeah, you're right. But I always tell people, when I tell people my story, and they see where we are now, and they see what we're trying to do in our communities, and they see, you know, kind of, you know, the professional status we have now. They can't believe that we came from a high risk, major high violence situation as kids. Mother was a great mom. She just couldn't do it alone.
Sure, but
we still had those values. You know what I mean? She still had those. Made sure that we said yes, sir, and no, sir. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Always respected the people around us, be it if it's, you know, whatever color, creed, ethnicity, whatever it was. You know, you just respect people, and that would take you a long way. But it was just mom's work ethic, man. You know, we had three freaking 6'4" taller kids growing up in the projects, and we made it out through sports. We made it out through the relationships that we built with like people like you. You know, you're one of my closest friends. I tell people all the time, you know, they always ask me, so especially living in Nashville, hey, why are you so friendly? Why are you so friendly? Like, I mean, you're not afraid to talk to anyone. I'm like, man, if you know what I've been through and the relationships I have with people that's don't look like me, then you know exactly why I'm the way I am. And it's like, Mr. Fowler, Miss Fowler, everybody, your parents, the Finchers, the Billy Landers, Wayne and his mom. I mean, it's just everybody played a role and molded me, I know personally.
Yeah.
And I appreciate I just appreciate you for that. It's just don't ever let anyone tell you what you can and cannot do. Because here's why. They try to put people, and not just the white man, as everybody want to say. They want to put blinders in front of you. It's not a black white thing. It's about what do you want to do.
Mm-hmm. We
made it out. I lost a bunch of friends to the streets. A bunch of friends to prison, a bunch of friends to deaths. But we found a way to make it out unscathed, and here we are. I'm talking to Brooke and Randal on the freaking Married as Fuck
podcast. Well, let's do a shot to that. We'll do a shot.
Which one are you doing?
I don't know. Mine look the same. Mine's either the whiskey or the Fireball.
Oh God. Okay, I'll do my Rumple.
Fred's got he's got a fancy bourbon.
Yes, sir. The best.
He's not even going to make
there is.
I know. Watch. Fred won't even make a noise, and me and Brooke will be gagging when we do it.
And he's going to be like, ah.
All right. Well, here's to you guys, Fred. I love you.
Cheers.
Love you too, bro.
Fuck that, man. That was the whiskey.
Oh God, baby.
That was the 1792.
Yeah, that small batch is something else.
Well, what I wanted to say off of where we left off about when people talk to me all the time and I tell them about our group of friends, and I don't even like to talk politics on the show ever. We never do. I learned my lesson the hard way with that it just, no one ever wins. But when people talk to me, I mean, I grew up and you grew up, it didn't matter what we had black, white, Mexican, Latino,
well, you were
all in the group.
You were the minority in your high school, weren't you, baby?
Yeah. I mean, we were lesser than we had a higher black, Mexican than white, but we were an inner city school. Our school didn't have a whole lot of money. No, but none of the kids that we rolled with had much money.
No, we didn't ride with. We wasn't rolling with people that just loaded.
No,
you had some middle class families that we were around, but working class people. And like you said, it wasn't about. We didn't look at each other then. It's the 90s. And we're in Alabama, and we had no issues with this crap. I mean, it's just crazy.
I know.
Zero issues. And what I think in a testament, and you were kind of talking about it when you were talking about your story, and I think it's very poignant and important, is it always felt like in our group of friends coming up that it took a village for everybody. Everybody's family helped with every kid. We had the Barneses, the Rileys, the Finchers, like you were saying, Mr. Wayne Landers, and there were so many that no matter where we turned and who turned to them, you kind of had somebody, you know what I mean? And nowadays, you don't see that. We could show up at any of those houses and be like, I'm hungry.
Right.
And you would eat.
Yeah.
You would eat well.
Yeah.
You would eat multiple times. It's crazy. They open up their hearts to you, man. And you know what played a huge role in all of that? Randal, I know that you and I are on a different level. We had a relationship way different than any, probably most any of our friends because I basically lived with you.
I know.
Yeah. I basically lived with you. Wore your clothes. You know what I mean?
What?
We'll get into that in a minute, babe. You're going to hear some doozies about Fred taking my clothes.
Oh, he's like a foot taller than you.
It didn't matter.
It didn't matter back then. Back then it didn't matter. I think Randal was taller than me then.
Yeah, I mean, we were close when you. Like up to junior year, we were pretty close. Yes. I mean, Fred may have been 6'2".
Oh, okay. So that's not
at that time, and he may have finished tall. I mean, Ced's what, like 6'10"?
Yeah, Ced's long as hell.
Oh, you're 6'4", Fred.
Fred, I think 6'4".
Oh, right. So you're short in your family.
He's the little guy.
Exactly. I'm the runt, man. I'm the runt in my
You're
family.
the tiny guy. That's crazy.
Hey, I got all the leftovers, guys.
Yeah. But so I want to tell that story because I can't believe I haven't told Brooke this, but You know, she knows that you stayed with me all the time, and there was a point there where Fred was, basically staying with us all the time, and we'd still go see his mom all the time, and she was, busting her ass just to provide for her 3 boys.
Yeah, well, I can't imagine having to feed 3 huge boys.
huge boys.
Normal-sized boys are hungry all the time.
Yeah, and so Fred'd be over. Fred's who I've always accredited to instilling why I iron all my clothes still to this day.
Oh yeah,
100%. I've always given you the credit, Fred. You can ask anybody. Because until Fred came, all I did was throw my clothes in the dryer, and then Fred came, and he was like,
"Why hating? Why?"
He would be like, "Randall, where's your iron?" I'd be like, "Shit, I don't know, man. I think the iron's in the closet." And he'd be like, "Where's the ironing board?" And like we didn't have one. He's like, "It doesn't matter. Cool, just give me a towel." And he would iron on the floor, as long as we had an iron. And I was like, "What the hell you do?" He's like, "Man, I can't show up raggedy. I can't, and you look raggedy." And so we would pick out clothes for the next day. Like, Fred's the one that got me, like, pick out your clothes, iron them, lay them out, make sure everything's tight, and you're good.
Everything. Right.
Yeah, and then you go to bed and you're ready. And Fred would be like, "All right, we're going to pick out our shit." He'd pick out the 1 or 2 good quality pieces of clothes I had, and he'd be like, "All right, I'm wearing this. All right, I'm wearing this one.
You find some other shit.
I'm gonna wear this one, Randall. But don't worry, you look good in the lower level shit. You can pull it off. I can't."
Yeah, I'm gonna take these Levi's and this Tommy Hilfiger shirt. You wear the Quicksilver over there, man.
Yeah, you wear the Quicksilvers. I'm gonna bust the Nikes. You wear them Birkenstocks.
With socks.
You're gonna look clean. Don't worry about it.
Oh my God, that is so true. That is so true.
And we show up to school, and I'd be like, "Motherfucker." He said I look smooth, and we'd sit down like for breakfast in the cafeteria, the commons area, and I've always told people too that our high school taught me more about being able to take a joke and people joke on you. It's one of the biggest things that prepared me for life. Because it was mean, spirited, but that's how everybody showed love. And so some people don't get my sense of humor, and Brooke can attest to that, where if I like you and you're wearing some ridiculous shit, I'll tell you, and it's really coming from a place of, love.
That's endearment, man.
But people can't take it. But yeah, so we'd show up for breakfast.
If he doesn't like you, he'll just make fun of you behind your back.
And all of our friends would be like, "Damn, Randall, who picked out your damn outfit?" And Fred would be like, "I tried to tell him. That was some bullshit. He didn't want to listen, though. Shit, I'm clean now."
And Randall being the guy he is, he never told him, "Well, Fred, you got on my best outfit."
I know. Oh, hell no. I couldn't tell him that.
You weren't going to throw him under the bus.
No. Fred, it was hilarious, though, but you couldn't, and we were talking on the last show about it, that for our inner city school, Butler High School, which I loved Butler, my time at Butler, but it was not, we had the Grissams, the schools that had, were from higher economic status, but there was nobody showed up to school cleaner than Butler High School students when we went. Everybody was dressed to the tits.
Hey, tell him when we went to basketball games, when we traveled to football games. You're right. It was something about the way we went about doing things. You remember what we would do at the beginning of the school year, around when we would say, "Hey, we're not going to wear new clothes the first couple of weeks because we gonna let everybody wear all their new clothes in the first week, and then we gonna come in the next 2 weeks and have on all this new stuff."
And they'll be into their raggedy stuff.
That's what I always did. I was so excited with my new outfits the first week.
Yeah, we would let everybody bust theirs for the first 2 or 3 days, and then we'd break ours out when everybody else was starting to look.
You always told me sob stories about I never went back to school shopping.
We didn't have a lot, but it taught you to take care of the shit. Yes. That's why we ironed them and we washed them. Like, it wasn't like now, kids, and especially my kids, they're just, luckily and I'm glad there's more money to take care of them and get them.
Yeah, my mom always took me back
more
to school
quality clothes. But if I got a Tommy or 2, those things were gold.
That's all we needed. We needed a couple, because we were athletes. We needed a couple of, we needed 1 or 2 Tommies or polo to a nice pair of jeans, two pair of jeans. We could switch it up. A couple shirts that we kept from last year. And because we were athletes, we would wear our jerseys or some type of athletic gear. So that didn't matter. So when we really
like on
wanted to dress
Fridays,
up,
you wore your
we
jeans.
had that stuff ready to go. So you're right. We didn't do a lot of back to school shopping. I got a pair of new shoes for school.
Shit, especially Fred, because he was so big into basketball. Him, Sid, and Tony were greats from our high school in basketball. And Coach Doss had our basketball team sponsored by Adidas.
What?
Yeah, so we had all kind of.
And this was in the 90s. I mean, you didn't see high schools with sponsorships. Jack Doss, a legend in Alabama, by the way, a legend in high school basketball. People know. Period. I've run into customers of mine now, Fred, that are from Hawaii and California, and they'll ask me, where'd you go to high school? And I'll say Butler High School. Oh, shit. Was Jack Doss the basketball coach? And I'm like, yeah, he was. They know him everywhere, man. He is a legend.
Why was he in Butler in Huntsville, Alabama?
Because our basketball team was the shit.
Oh,
yeah.
He had the top tier basketball players.
Is he from Alabama, or where's he from?
He's from Birmingham. He's from Hayes.
Well, then that makes more sense then that he's right in Alabama.
Yeah, but he coached a couple of pros in high school, Buck Johnson and all those guys that went to University of Alabama and played for the Houston Rockets. And then he moved to Huntsville. And man, when he moved to Huntsville, he was just in the right place at the right time. I think he had just got out of the Army, retired or whatever, and he started coaching. And I think his first class was 1988 or 89. Wow, so
he was there a while.
He was there a while. And he had Reggie Dupree and all those guys.
Yep.
And my oldest brother came through, and that's when they were like state championships. Mr. Basketball. You had Howard Pride, Mr. Basketball. You had Trevor Lacey. You had all these guys from 90 to about 2010 before he left. You had nothing but top tier. We were ranked in the nation.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
My junior year in high school. We were really good.
Yeah, and he was kind of a innovator, especially for like small town South, because I remember it may have been like our freshman or sophomore year. For one, he ran the program almost like a college. It was very well run.
Obviously,
of course,
to
bring on sponsorships. But he packed up the team and got them in tournaments across the country. Didn't y'all go to Alaska or some shit?
Alaska. I went to Alaska with
playing a tournament.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, we played everywhere because of basketball. I've seen so much.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and
from Alabama to Alaska.
Yeah, and Tony played at Texas A&M, had a killer career at Texas A&M.
Nice.
That's his oldest brother, and then Sid played overseas, didn't he? He played actually
9 years overseas out of Georgia Southern. Man, he was one of the highly recruited kids ever out of Butler Community Junior College in Kansas. And man, I remember I'd be in the house and I have like coaches like Bobby Huggins and Coach Raveler from USC. They're just calling me and I'm like, hey, Sid's not here. But then they start talking to me and what are you doing to get yourself better, blah, blah, blah. Just kind of build a relationship with the family because they really wanted, Sid so much.
Yeah.
Man, he was, Sid had a stellar career.
And I'm telling you, if Sid would have wanted to play football instead of and basketball, I would have never saw the football field. He could throw a football 85 yards.
Just barely trying, probably.
I mean, he could just throw it like I've never seen before. He could throw it so far.
He's not built like a quarterback, though, is he?
He's 6'10". You just didn't want to get hurt for his basketball career.
He could see over everybody.
He was long as crap. He could throw the football like. And here's the crazy thing about it, Randal. We used to try to do it the right way. Spin the thing with the laces, blah blah blah. Sid would throw the football without the laces.
So does Griffin.
Griffin
Fred.
does too.
Griffin throw without the laces?
Yeah, he doesn't like the laces. He throws without the laces.
Randal was noticing that when we were at
years ago
Manning Passing Academy, though, but we like while we were watching him, we were like, he's got one of the best arms out there, and it was like 1,200 kids, but I mean, he's got a fucking arm, and. But Randal he was like, God damn it. And he was getting pissy because he was like, he's not even throwing with the laces and he's still got a fucking, it looks great. It's got a cannon.
And his spin rate is still high,
Yes.
but imagine if he was spinning it with the laces. Same with Sid. If Sid would have spun with the laces, he'd have thrown it 200 yards.
I know.
That's crazy.
But I got to tell his football story. I promised Robert Owen I would about Fred. And this isn't this won't embarrass Fred, but it's the honest truth. And I've told my shit myself story on this show before. But I think it was our sophomore year. We were playing at Goldsmith Shipman Field in Huntsville. And before the game, Fred was my number one receiver, but he was also my backup quarterback because Fred could quarterback too.
Yeah.
And so he was both.
I didn't know that.
But he was in the huddle early in the game. I was like, Randall, man, my stomach, man.
Oh no.
Stomach hurting, man. And I was like, man, just we're all nervous, man. Just shake it out. You'll be all right. He's like, man, I'm telling you, man. He'd be like, man, my stomach. And the way I remember it, and I promised Robert Owen I'd tell it, is at some point, I don't remember if it was before halftime or after, but Fred was just gone. I'm going to let Fred, you tell it. How did it happen?
So, this is hilarious. I tell people this story all the time just to break the ice. Hey, I'm a shitty guy. But anyway.
Oh, I do it too.
Okay, so we were playing against Johnson High School, one of the most athletic teams you've ever played against. And this kid, Kanan, was the defensive end. I think we ran some type of misdirection, and I kept it or something. And as I was coming around the end, Kanan put his helmet.
That's right.
Drove it right through my stomach. And I'm talking not even
out your butt.
Everything came out. I'm talking about it was just a pie.
Oh no.
And we had on girdles, we had on pants, we had on tights. All on,
was it white football pants?
Hey, but they may have been I think we were wearing our gold pants, or were we in whites?
I think we were in gold. I think we had been in white.
But see what I would do, because we didn't have the money to get the really fancy like Nike tights. I wore my mom's pantyhose for 2 seasons.
Oh, bless you.
I sure did. Her dark ass stockings, I'd put like 2 or 3 pairs so they'd be real dark. I couldn't move my limbs, and I'd have 10 pair of socks on.
Especially when it was cold.
Why?
Yes, sir.
Why so much? Okay, I want to hear. So what did you just shit and then run off the field?
I shit it, and I ran up to our coach. I said, Coach Sanders.
Oh, no.
I think I just shit on myself. and he looked at me and laughed. You know how Coach Sanders is. He said, what? He said, what? I said, I think I just shit on myself. He said, well, go to the bathroom and take care of it, buddy. So, this is what Randall missed. This is what everybody was missing me. This was like 4 minutes before halftime. So I go in the locker room before everybody. I get in the locker room, and I'm like, okay, I got to get this shit off of me, because if I don't, I would never live it down.
That's all that mattered.
That's all that mattered to me. I don't care. I just didn't want these guys to know that I shitted on myself.
Absolutely.
So I get to the locker room, and I'm having trouble getting my pants off. And so I'm thinking, man, I got to take all this shit off. They're about to walk in here. Here's the moment. This is the decision I got to make. Do I get caught cleaning my ass from shitting, or do I just keep my uniform on and act like it never happened?
There you go.
But how do you act like it never happened when you're going to get diaper rash for one?
So I played the entire second half with shitty draws. No. I'm talking about shitty.
But were people not like in the huddle like, what is that smell?
Listen, bro. We used to go back to the huddle. It was like, who farted?
That's what I'm saying. They're like, Jesus, every time.
I was so far away from the huddle. Like, I was just trying to stay away from everybody.
You're like way behind it. They're like, Fred, get in here. You're like, I can hear you. I'm fine.
What's the play? So we get back on the bus, bro. Listen to this. We get back on the bus, and I'm with Julian Jude to sit beside me. Julian Jude is a very, very good Christian man.
Yeah, he's a pastor now.
Yeah, we're Facebook friends with him.
Yeah, his dad was a legendary tailback too, and he's a preacher.
Jude, sir, John Jude.
Yep.
And so I'm sitting beside him, and of course I'm in the back, so everybody knew something was wrong, because if I was in the back, something's wrong. Right? I'm in the back of the bus, and Julia looked at me and said, "Fred, it smells like shit back here."
Well, the best part is, and I got to give him credit where credit's due, Robert Owen, I think, was on to Fred the whole second half, because the way I remember it is Robert Owen being the huddle, because he's the center. They call the huddle. You huddle up on the center. and Robert was the starting center. And Robert would be like, damn, somebody stinks. Like the whole second half, like somebody stinks in this motherfucker.
But I said,
Who
like,
stinks?
depending on, like, I would think you'd be able to see it. Like,
Well, no, you got a girdle holding it in under your pants, then tights and all that.
so
So
there
it's
wasn't,
just
like, liquid.
his ass was just caked under it.
Yeah.
It was the entire cycle. It just piled up because I kept it tight on me.
Hey,
Oh, man.
well, this puts me. I got to tell this story. I've told it to Brooke, but I've never told the podcast listeners. So, I think this was also our sophomore year, and we're out in practice, like 2-a-days, and we had a player on our team named Tim Stone, throwing him right under the bus. And Coach McGuire was killing his ass, just ripping his ass.
Well, that's what I was hoping for. I was going to say when he went up to coach, it was Coach McGuire.
Don't say it yet. Don't. So Tim Stone is getting just drilled into the ground, grass drills. He's just, Coach won't let up on him. So he says, I quit. I'm leaving. And Coach McGuire's like, get the hell off my field then, son. Shit, I don't give a crap. You go on and quit, son. And so Tim Stone walks off the field, and all the guys that knew him were like, Tim, don't do it. Okay, whatever.
No.
So he goes into the locker room, and we never hear from him again.
Oh, God.
And the next day, we're doing like chalkboard talk before practice. Coach McGuire's up there like drawing up X's and O's, and he's like, all right, boys, shit. We gonna do offense. We gonna do defense. We gonna run some special. Oh, yeah. Who shitted? Who shit all over the damn walls? And Tim Stone had went in the bathroom and shit everywhere. Threw it on the walls in the stall. Shoved his girdle into the toilet.
Ew.
Covered in shit, like as a middle finger.
Oh my God.
That's aggressive.
Classic. Classic.
We ended up redoing that skit in our senior skit day and had Sean Draper be Coach McGuire.
And you were cussing in your senior skit?
Oh, gosh, yeah. But Sean walked up and was like, who shitted? Who shit all over the damn walls? And the thing is, nobody cleaned that stall for like 2 weeks. It just had like hazard tape over it.
Ew.
Don't go in that stall, y'all. Don't go in that stall.
It was brutal.
No janitor came in there.
They
and
finally did, but
pressure washed it.
Brother, we had a lot of shit stories out of school.
Oh, I know, man.
That's because boys are fucking gross.
Well, I gotta tell this one because
dip on your.
Oh,
I gotta tell this one to Brooke.
Sexy.
And I've told her, we had all kind of back then. You could have hazing rituals for freshmen, and in football when you're a freshman. Upperclassmen would rip your drawers, basically give you a wedgie till your underwear ripped your butthole and ripped off.
Ow.
And so when it was real bad is if you weren't a freshman, but if you were being like a practice All-American, because we had like some really good players that were going to go on to the next level, like Sean Draper, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And in practice, Sean he's not trying to hurt nobody, and he's also not trying to get hurt.
Yeah.
But you'd have practice All-Americans that would try to make their name by hitting Sean low or, taking Sean out of a play or anybody. What? And so David Wells.
David.
He was he was a practice All-American and wouldn't bust a grape on the football field in a game, but in practice. And so we went in and Sean was like about to get on him. And this was back, when you could have a fist fight. And you weren't going to go to jail and shit, in the locker room, in a controlled environment.
Right.
And Sean went up and confronted him.
And everybody went and put it on YouTube.
Yeah. Sean was talking to him. Was like, you know what? Shit, I'm about to slap the shit out you. Because, you could have, this is ridiculous. David Wells reaches into his damn locker, pulls a damn machete out.
What?
The size of a samurai sword.
What?
And Sean just grabs a helmet, and the next thing I know, I'm looking from the end, and I see Sean with a helmet and David Wells with a damn ninja sword.
What?
And
it was rusty.
And I'm supposed to be the quarterback. I'm like, I ain't getting in the middle of that shit. That's dangerous.
Right.
This is a.
Oh my God.
But how did he fit that sword? Our lockers were only like 20 inches deep.
It's like a freaking It's not much bigger than a box coming from Amazon.
It's like the clown car.
Just enough for you to put your pants and your shoes in. He had a full blood grown machete.
How did he
it looked like it was dry blood on it. I didn't know.
Hey,
how did he get that in there? Like,
I don't know, but David Wells was scary like that. Like, he was a quiet, like,
he's one of those that was
you
like,
don't realize it. And Sean wasn't bullying him, but Sean had a point. Like, it was fair, but it was also fair that David was way smaller than Sean. So he's like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm pulling out my ninja sword.
oh my God, that's terrifying.
Yeah, but he had it at school, bro.
Right.
Think about that. What if that dude would have snapped in the classroom or something?
Right.
Like that?
Oh, dude. I remember old
Damn.
Kenji Holden. He was one of the guys on the team.
So whatever happened with that? Like, what did they do?
We broke it up. Everybody got in the middle of it.
Who went and got in front of the guy with the fucking rusty sword?
It took a whole group of us. Like, everybody had to separate them both.
Bro, I ain't going there. Sean was gonna swing that helmet.
Man, I remember.
Like, y'all handle it. I'm just gonna duck out of here.
I'm like, get him.
One thing I'm gonna say about Sean,
Insane.
and when he reared that helmet back,
oh my God,
like, Sean's a big
Was
guy.
he gonna like hit him with the helmet?
Yes, and he had that helmet.
I thought you were saying he was holding it like a shield.
No, he was about to.
He was about to knock his ass out with that helmet.
That was smart. I mean,
But
fuck.
Sean would do that same thing. Whenever, if Sean was going to slap somebody, you could just see it, right? And that was his normal stance. He just happened to have a helmet. But we had a party at my house one time, and then it was me and Fred, and we had Rayshawn over and Sean. But Sean and Rayshawn didn't like dogs, and I had my my German Shepherd Nick, the dog, and he was running around the backyard, and first Sean, who didn't really like dogs, reared his hand back like he was about to knock Nick's head off.
Aw.
And Nick was a sweet, peaceful dog.
Right, he was a cool.
But because we're mean, and Fred is especially mean, especially to Rayshawn, which we'll get into some Ray stories in a second. But so we got a sliding glass door downstairs. We all get in. Fred pushes Ray out, so it's just Ray and Nick in the backyard.
Aw.
Locks the door, and Nick chases Rayshawn around the pool for about 20 minutes.
And
Rayshawn can't swim very well.
Oh my God.
Right. He's the biggest pussy ever.
That is so mean.
6'4". He was in high school. He was 6'4", 220. He was solid as a rock. He was the softest.
And that dog is probably like, play with
met.
me. Is it like John? Like, I love you.
Oh, yeah. Nick was just trying to lick him. Nick just wanted to play with him.
I like that name, too, for a dog, Nick.
He was the retired canine.
Oh.
They had retired him from the police department.
Those could be sketchy, though, too, sometimes.
But, yeah, so
Oh, bless
once
him.
we got Rayshawn freed up, that same night, because we were all staying at my house, it was the night before. Yeah,
you realize that your credibility on being poor is shot when you're saying he was running around the pool.
No, it was, you think so? But our pool was a 1950s, all concrete.
Yeah.
Coldest pool. It never got hot. If I didn't clean it, for one, also, it would never get clean. That's why I don't want a pool now.
Well, we had a pool when I lived in Memphis, too, and I was the only one. And then my mom decided not to cover it in the wintertime either, so I'd be out there in fucking January vacuuming that shit.
This pool wasn't like a fancy liner that would get warm in the summer. This was cold all the time. But, yes, it was still good to jump into. But, so we're all spending the night before, I think it was before team pictures the next day. And so Fred has got my clippers, and he's like cleaning up Sean's hair.
Oh, no.
And Sean's like cleaning up Fred's edge.
I've heard this before.
And then it comes Rayshawn's turn.
Oh,
and I knew it. All of us knew it. But I knew Fred was going to do something to fuck Rayshawn. Because it was just the way it was. And so Fred's like, man, relax, Ray. I ain't going to mess you up, man. Sit down, man. Let me tighten your shit up. Your shit looks terrible. So he starts off, he's kind of like lining up his back edge on his neck. Everything's normal. So Ray kind of is like, okay, cool. This is going to be, Fred ain't going to fuck me.
Oh, no.
Next thing you know, Fred takes a huge ass plug about the size of my dip can.
Oh, my God.
Out of Ray's head. And that's not even the bad part. What he did next is unforgivable. He took the batteries out of the clippers and threw them in the woods. And this was at night. This was at about 10, 11 at night. So there was absolutely no way for him to get a cut before we had to be at school in the morning for team pictures. And Ray's got a
where
plug.
on his head was that? Because your team pictures are from the front.
Oh my God. It was right on the top of his head. I know.
That is so mean.
And he said, "What?"
And here's the thing. Ray, if he got mad enough, would whoop Fred's ass and whoop my ass and probably whoop Sean's ass.
So was he real docile? Was it more
He was just so sweet. Like Ray was physically demanding, but when it came to like Fred and Sean, they could control. He would never get mad.
We just control him mentally. We would control him mentally. We were like, hey,
Where's that guy now? What's Ray Sean doing?
He's doing good. He's in Huntsville.
He's got a wife and like 4 kids. Man, he's doing excellent. Owns his own business, detailed business. Doing great.
He's
just talking to him today.
He's probably one of the most all-around best athletes I've ever known. He could play baseball, basketball, football.
Such a stud.
And he was built. He was just muscle. Like his mom was a big, muscular lady, and I don't know.
Family, all the women were. Yep.
Ray Sean's just a freak, man.
Like that kid that Gunnar does jiu-jitsu with. It's like 12, but look.
Yeah, Ray Sean was built like a grown man.
Yeah.
Now, most of them, I didn't go to middle school with Fred and them. They came out of Stone together. It was like Fred, Robert, Sean, Ray Sean, I think Tim Steger, all these guys.
Yeah.
And their size, like if you looked at Griffin's middle school team now, and saw them side by side to that Stone 8th grade team.
Oh my God.
That Stone 8th grade team looks like
Alabama.
The Philadelphia Eagles.
Oh God.
Playing against a middle school team.
Yeah.
Man, remember we had Boo Brooks on that team. Remember that? Mm-hmm. Man. Myron Tibbs, all those guys that went to Huntsville High. It was crazy.
Yeah, and Sean's little brother Mike, supposedly, I never saw him play. I heard the legend is he was a stud running back and was a beast till he broke his leg.
Coldest little young tailback you ever seen in your life.
And he broke his leg real bad, didn't he? Like they had
he broke his, what you call this? Is that the fibia, right? Yeah, he broke his fibia.
Tibia and your fibia right there.
They had to do a vein replacement in his leg.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
that was terrible.
They had to cut it from the ankle up through his groin and graft a vein because it was such a bad break. So he couldn't play football.
He didn't play football anymore.
Yeah, he started playing basketball at that point.
But they were just so big.
So what's the deal with this new team in Huntsville, the Rocket City Trash Pandas?
That's a minor league baseball team.
That's the best.
So now they what?
Yeah, it's Huntsville's or Madison. They're actually the city of Madison. It's the replacement for the Huntsville Stars. They just named themselves the
Rocket
Trash
City
Pandas.
Trash Pandas. And that is the best fucking team name for a sports team.
You imagine how cool their gear is going to be? How sought after?
Awesome. I can't wait to get a hat. I gotta get some. Yeah, right. Because we used to love the Huntsville Stars hats.
Oh yeah.
So if I could get me a Trash Panda hat.
Rocket City Trash Panda. They look like, I guess the mascot's some kind of, I guess a trash panda is like a raccoon type animal.
Yeah, it's somewhat similar. But
I don't know.
That's just such a smart marketing ploy.
I love it because it was like, I thought it was one of those weird Facebook things where it's like you put silly words together because people like, there was like 3 or 4 people that were posting that, and Randal was like, no, it's like the new minor league baseball team. I was like, what? It's my new favorite baseball team.
Yeah, I'm looking it up now. This is my first time hearing about it. It's crazy.
I got to tell another Fred story that would never happen nowadays. We were leaving the...
We got to do this other shot.
Oh, yeah, we got one more shot to do.
Oh.
Yeah.
Alcoholics,
We'll do this one to S.R. Butler High School.
Oh, rest in peace, Butler High School.
Yeah. And to Rayshawn Green's hair.
Yes.
Cheers.
The plug. Okay. Ready?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we just swallowed it. That wasn't bad. That was my Fireball.
That was Fireball. Yeah, but...
But, so we're leaving... No, I think we're going to football practice. And Robert Owen had a car before any of us because Robert's a little older. His birthday just happened, actually. So I told him happy birthday. Happy birthday, Robert.
Happy birthday, Rob.
He pulled up in his, I think he had like a
Buick Regal.
Yes, it looked like a Cutlass, but it was, and it was
there you go.
In all of its glory. We love that car.
Like a boat?
We love that car.
And he pulls up, and somehow Fred had bottle rockets.
What?
Yeah, he had bottle rockets. And so there's like a bottle rocket
Y'all are
fight.
like the little rascals.
Yeah, there's like a bottle rocket fight going on. And I look to my left and I'm like, this is never going to end good, but it's funny. But Fred goes in and like Robert pulls up and is like, what's up, everybody? All right, well, what's up? What's everybody doing out here? Fred just drops a bottle rocket in his window, in between his legs.
What the fuck?
And Robert was a big 260 at the time.
Jesus.
And all you see is a big cage gorilla trying to get out of his front seat. And he gets the bottle rocket out. And so it doesn't explode and it doesn't blow his dick off, but it was burning in his crotch. And Robert, not a very shy guy, like pulls his sack up and is like, look at this shit. And it had like 2nd degree burned his taint.
I burned that dude, man.
And Fred was like, oh shit, I didn't mean for it to be that bad. I just thought it was going to be funny. But then he had to go practice football.
That's an explosive.
Right.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, I've told you this before. Robert is one of the toughest son-bitches I ever know. I mean, he played with a broken ankle one year.
He had burns on his nuts.
Burns on his taint and legs and nuts.
His mom was so pissed at me, yo.
Oh, Pam.
I would be too, because it probably burned up his car seat too.
Oh, but
it
could have ended so badly.
So bad. That could have literally blown his dick off.
And it's because I think we were driving. We was just starting to drive.
Yeah, we had all just
stop and get out.
Oh my God.
But Fred, really, I will vouch for Freddie felt there. That was not how his plan was.
It was one of those snap decisions where you're like, that was not good.
That was a terrible decision. I just thought he was I thought he would catch it. It's a bottle rocket. He got plenty of time.
Yeah, because we used to throw him.
To throw it back at me.
Yeah.
He was probably like, what is he throwing
between his legs?
Yeah, it got too deep down in that ass. And
right.
Those
and them thighs are kill.
Yeah, and those plush crushed velvet seats that came in those Regals. That shit was smooth. That blue ass Regal was the shit though. God, we had so many memories in that car.
That car took us everywhere, bro.
We went, I think it may have been that car. We all went to one of our cheerleaders they were at camp, or our cheer team in Tuscaloosa. Mm-hmm. Or it may have been UNA, and Robert drove, and that car was overheating. And on the way back, we stopped 52 times to put water in it to get back to Huntsville on the way home. And on the way there, I remember.
I didn't ride back. Which you guys remember? Because I said I'm riding from
to Florence. That's what, an hour and a half drive to Florence.
Yeah, and we were on the way back.
Oh no!
I remember riding, and the ones that rode back were me. It was me, Sean, Robert, and Ray Sean. And I'm sitting in the back seat. It's me and Ray Sean, and then Sean is riding shotgun, and Robert's driving. And I'm sitting back there. Everybody's gotten quiet, so I'm like, oh shit, people are falling asleep. I look over. Ray Sean's dead ass asleep. His nickname was Sleepy anyway. He looked asleep.
Right,
he looked asleep when he was wide awake.
Why was that bad? If you were in the back seat, why wouldn't you just go sleep?
No, let me finish. So luckily I didn't. So I look up front and I see Sean is ass out against the window, which is fine. And I'm like, Robert's still awake. And then I look and I see Robert's head bouncing, like with the road.
Oh no.
And so now Robert's asleep.
Oh shit, the driver?
Yeah, and I'm in the back right, and I'm slapping the shit out. Fucking wake! And we were this close from going under a bridge.
And hitting the concrete?
And Robert corrected it and jerked us back on the road. But I remember that moment so clear. Robert's head was bouncing like like a bobblehead with the road because he had fallen out.
Oh my God.
That trip was crazy hilarious though.
Oh my God. And then you had to stop 75 times.
Yep. Good gracious. But damn, I had another one I was wanting to share.
There's so many.
Fuck, man. Oh, I remember it. This is when me and Fred officially became brothers. Mm-hmm. One of the, and it's no secret. I mean, Brooke knows everything that has ever happened in my life. And I learned from past relationships, I'm 100% transparent with her. But one of the times where Randy Dick was running around on my mom.
Oh, okay. I know this one.
And I had caught him, and we had gotten into a little bit of a skirmish, and then I was like, Fred, let's roll. We're going to go whoop his ass. And most friends, most people be like, hey, I'm not going to have any of that.
And your dad's huge.
And Randy's a big guy.
And Randy's a beast.
Yeah.
And to top it off, Randy is at Lisa's Lounge, the whitest,
North Parkway, baby.
Two-stepping country music bar.
Electric sliding.
Oh, dirty electric sliding. And that's where we got to go. And Fred's like, all right, well, shit, if we got to go, we got to go.
Brother.
And so we handle all that. But a couple weeks after that, we have these guys. Fred was staying with me, and we caught somebody like breaking into my car.
What?
Like, I remember hearing them, went out, and I ran, and I was chasing the guy. Like, so
Randal.
I could see him. I could see his jacket from behind. He was way in front of me. And I didn't catch him. He got into the woods and got lost. And so we're going like door to door. Me and Fred, we're like, if you have kids, tell them to come here and let us see their jacket. Like, trying to find out who it was. Because we knew
the FBI.
Trying to
be we were in Sherwood Park knocking on people's doors trying to find out who was trying to break in Randal's car.
Oh my God. What were you going to do if it was
We're going to whoop that ass.
It was going down. It was going down. I think Randal had a bat. I think I had like, you remember Randal? I remember I called and asked one of my friends to bring a gun.
Oh, yeah. And do you remember?
So people were giving up their kids? Sure.
Well, no. And what ended up happening is we had formulated, somehow this turned into a plan.
Oh, my God.
Right.
And my dad was...
Did you think to call the police?
This is how crazy Randy... No police. But this is how down Randy was. He was like, all right, call all your boys, Randal and Fred. Get them over here. We're going to form a military plan.
Jesus. Because, that's his mindset.
And so we had a group of us, and Randy was like, all right, Fred, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put you in the left quadrant over by the fence. You're going to get down in the bushes, and when the enemy approaches, you're going to crawl over the top. You're coming with the baseball bats and the machetes. Okay, Ray Sean, you're fast. We're going to put you at the perimeter. You're our final safety stop.
Oh my God! Did Randy bust out like a map? He's like, I've been waiting for this.
I mean, basically, it was so detailed. And then
that night we turned out all the lights, and we're all just sitting there.
Y'all had face paint and like a ghillie suit.
Oh, dude, we were ready. It was crazy. It was just such good times. You could never do that nowadays.
So okay, questions. Did they actually break into your car and steal things?
No, they were trying to steal my stereo. I had at that time a 1990 Maxima that smoked at all times. But
it had a sweet radio.
But it had a sweet radio that I had put into it.
As you do, yeah.
And everybody back then, that was at the high point of people stealing, breaking into cars. It was normal.
It was like a sweet cassette tape, but like
especially in Sherwood Park, that neighborhood. That's where a lot of the kids from Butler lived.
Sure. Yeah.
So if they saw you at school and they heard your music, they're gonna be like, "Oh, we know where he lives at. We're going to get him." You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
cunning.
Kind of like easy money. Yeah.
And that's funny because I would pull up bumping,
of course,
Eazy-E, real motherfucking G's in the morning, and like an idiot flashing my shit. And it sounded like dog shit. It would be like 2 huge 12s in the trunk that would rattle.
Rattling.
It didn't sound good at all, but we thought it was
swingers,
great.
No highs. It was a lot of bass.
But here's a summary
the 90s were so fun.
of Fred McGinnis in a nutshell for everybody that's listening. So me and Fred would go up to the basketball court in Sherwood Park, right up by the church. Fred's a great basketball player, top notch. I'm not a great basketball player, but I like to play, like with Fred.
That's like the one sport that you're not excellent at.
No,
baby,
but Fred, I was really good with Fred because Fred was so good that he would do all the work, and I would just sit up and shoot like mid-range jumpers, and I could shoot okay.
Billy Ho,
of course,
Billy
you can
Ho.
shoot. Yeah,
This is my Billy Ho.
And
so
we would get up there and we would start like working older guys. There'd be guys, running games, and they'd be like, our age now.
Yeah.
And we're 17, 16, and they're 40. And they're running games. Fred'd be like, all right, we're next. We'll jump in. Me and my white friend here that's terrible. We'll play. And we'll start playing. And we'd be doing good. But Fred would talk so much shit to these 40-year-old men. They would be ready to fight, and they would just want to fight me.
Right, because they're like, we don't want him because it seems like he's
Fred is the one that's killing them with points, talking all the shit. I'm not saying a word, and I'm getting like, shit, we're going to have your ass afterwards, motherfucker. I want him. I haven't said 2 words.
And would it matter? I mean, were these like white guys, black guys? It didn't matter.
No, they'd be like, there was a mixture, but
I kind of put you in a situation because I'll be like, we're busting your ass. I'm like, I'm not going to bust your ass. I'm going to let Billy Ho bust your ass.
Oh, he would say
games, blah, blah, blah. And so, like, I'll do something to get both of them, like, get all the team to come to me and kick it at the Randal. He'll hit the game with a shot. They hated that shit.
And then Fred would talk shit for me, like be like, "Oh shit, my boy just killed y'all. Said y'all terrible." I haven't said a word.
Said y'all smell like shit too.
He said he'd take on any of y'all if y'all want some.
He said he fucked your wife. Oh.
And then Fred would walk to the car.
They'd be like, "Bye, Randal. I'll see you at home."
I'll see you at the crib, dog. I'm gonna go eat, man. I'd be like, guys, he's kidding. This was a great challenge. Thank you for the athletic.
This was a good romp
competition.
Yeah.
Randal, before we get to the questions, I got. You remember Doo-Doo Gate? You remember when we did Doo-Doo Gate? When we was shitting in bags and we was taking it to the cheerleaders' houses that lived out there and ring the doorbell.
Of course.
Y'all are disgusting.
We were disgusting. I'm gonna be quite frank. We were very disgusting.
So y'all literally hovered over a bag and took a shit into one
all day.
You didn't go get dog shit.
No.
No.
Human shit.
Real human shit. And we were strategic on how we would do this shit because we would ring the doorbell, run and get behind big old trees out in Sherwood, and we would see them walk out the house, and we would put the shit right on the step, right as you walk out of your house. You had to step on the shit.
Oh, so you weren't doing like the flaming bags where they had to put it out?
No.
You were just taking a dump on their porch?
Basically. And inviting them into it.
You were putting it in bags and then dumping it on their porch.
And ringing the doorbell and making them come out like, who's out here? Like, step on the shit.
Oh, my God.
Hey, here's the deal, though. Fred was so beloved by so many families, right? Like, we all were, but Fred, for some reason, it's just Fred's charm. The Rileys, the Barn, everybody loved him like a son, everybody. Mm-hmm. And even though they loved us like a son, too, all the other people, Fred would do no wrong. And that son of a bitch had a hand in 98% of the fuckery and took 2% of the blame.
That, yeah. You were the puppet master of and just the instigator.
The shit would be his idea, and it would be very well thought out. But he would catch no heat on it. It was crazy.
I'm telling you, we had videos. If people would walk around with cameras while we were growing up, that jackass shit, that wasn't shit to what we used to do.
No, that was nothing. That was nothing.
Crazy.
I remember one time we stole some cigarettes. I think it was from Miss Riley.
Yeah.
And Fred swore that he could take a drag off that cigarette with his butthole. With his butthole. He could take a puff off of it. With his butthole.
And blow smoke
out his mouth.
Oh, what?
Yes.
And blow it out his, okay, I thought you were saying blow it out out his
blow it out his mouth. He swore.
Oh my God.
And so and this is the worst part. It's just me and Fred. He's like, Randal Fowler. Hey, watch this. I'm going to smoke this cigarette with my ass. I'm going to blow smoke. Watch. Look at this right here.
Did he take a drag into his mouth first and then put it in his butt?
No,
to trick you?
all I remember is the cigarette in the butthole for a second and doing a clench and be like, hey, you see that smoke out my mouth, Fowler? Hey, Randal Fowler, look. It didn't work. But the point is, yes, we were jackass before jackass.
We tried it. We tried everything.
Oh, man.
Oh, my God. That's bringing back so many memories of high school.
Oh, dude. And that's what
Jesus.
That leads me right into our first listener question that I got to ask.
And
this is for all of us. This is for all of us.
Oh, my God.
If you could go back in time and tell your young self anything about sex,
Jesus,
what would you say? And this is for Fred first.
Uh-huh.
And we'll say go back straight to when me and you were living together. So 16, 17 years old. What would you tell yourself about anything about sex?
Have more. Have more sex.
Practice.
Practice makes perfect. No, I think our sex life at that point, bro. We were just like high schoolers trying to get it. Remember, we used to have the little girls come over and it'd be like movie night. And we choose like Go with the Wind.
Yeah, but what was crazy is for us back then, it was weird because it didn't matter.
Right.
Like it was just a group and whoever anyone could end up with, it was like throwing farts in the wind. And it was such a small community of like football players and cheerleaders that everyone dated everybody at some point.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And then now they're somebody's like wife or husband.
Right.
And it settled down.
Right.
I don't want to call no names, but we had some good times in the basement, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
That basement was a hot zone.
Everybody did. I mean, it's just.
Well, if I could go back, this is my experience. If I could go back and tell myself, and if I was a kid now, in this day and age, and it's what I have to tell my boys, and you have a better perspective on this, Fred, because you have girls, and I'm interested in hearing your perspective. Yeah. Is I have to tell my boys, and I have to tell Griffin, because shit, he looks 18 and he's only 13.
Oh my God.
It's just not right now, man. Don't worry about it. You got time. I wish he lived in the same era as us.
13. Like, that's not even high school.
You know what? At 13, 14 is when we started getting...
I think I was getting started.
No, I knew people that were losing their virginity. I mean, it was appalling to me. I mean, and I lost my virginity at 16, so it's not like I was an old, wise person. But, like...
Well, you
13?
lost your metaphorical virginity. We all know you were a virgin before you met me.
Yeah, and
there was never anything
and
prior.
Griffin was just immaculate conception.
Yeah, he was just okay.
So I mean, but I knew when I was 12, 13, I knew girls that were losing their virginity and in like horrible ways, like with other middle schoolers, like in a ditch, like in the woods. And it was just like, it made me like just so sad to hear about that. But they were like, you know, at the time they would be like for the week or whatever, they'd be like the most popular girl. And it would like, for a second I would get kind of like jealous about it, but then I'd be like, I can't. Like there was just so much of my like moral, like,
of course,
being where I was like,
well, that's what I'm interested to ask you, Fred, because now you have girls. How much has your experience as a guy, and I knew you then, and you knew me, taught you to prepare them for what they have to experience? Because if I had a girl, and Brooke wants to give me a girl, if I had one, God, I'm just worried that I'd have her attached to my belt loop at all times.
You know, they always say the sins of a father will hunt the daughters, right?
Yeah, sure.
Oh my God.
I'm just trying to prepare my girls. You know, here's the crazy thing about it. I'll have an 8 and a 6-year-old coming up soon. And what you really got to prepare, because they're going to be exposed to it some type of way. Hell, network TV shows, kissing and people laying in the bed, you watch Disney and like everything's still kind of sexualized. You know, you can't really get away from it. They're kissing. Oh my God, blah blah blah. So you just gotta say, hey, that's a certain situation, time, and place that you can start to be in that position. I said, but what you got to realize is going to be, I said, you're going to have these urges as you get older too, because you're going to see your friends and you're going to see your cousins and everybody, and they're going to have these boyfriends, and you're going to want to start doing that as well, dating as well. But you got to realize this is a tough thing to do, because you got to realize it's not always going to be easy, because you're not going to meet the person you're going to marry. Your first relationship is not going to be that person you're going to marry.
Agreed.
That's huge.
So your heart is going to get crushed many a time, and that is going to have to be there for you. So I just want to make sure you make a smart decision about who's these little boys you're choosing. You dig?
You're saying this to your 8 and 6-year-old little girls?
Smart.
I love it. Yeah. I love it.
More dads need to do that with their little girls.
Yeah. I need to do that with Gunner now.
We started pretty early, man, because I know guys are a lot slicker than I was in high school.
Oh, yeah, they're getting better and better, man. Well,
yeah.
And now they got the video phones and the Snapchat. Dude, we would be, it was a wrap. There's a reason we didn't have those in our day. We'd have more dudes in jail.
That's why, like, I feel like all that exposure and all that, like, just content and media and access to things somehow I feel like it's making these like super young kids and like tweens and teenagers somehow like, and maybe it's just the specific ones that have relationships with. I feel like they're more responsible now.
No, they are. I agree
because
with you.
it's like they are aware that like, no, everything is like, there's a paper trail for everything.
Right.
Well, they know that now one text or photo can send you to jail. I mean, child pornography is a real thing, and it has no
there's just so much
around.
access to everybody. So like when we were in like middle school and high school, you had to pick up the phone and dial, and her dad might answer, or like you know, so you had to get there was like barriers and all this like, but now you just shoot a text over like, hey, send me your tits, like
show me your tits. I won't tell anyone.
There's just all this access, like.
I'll delete it right away.
Man, we'd be so screwed, Fred. Our whole group, man.
Oh my God.
It's a good thing.
My penis would be all over the freeway.
Everywhere, dude. And old Sid McGinnis would be an even bigger legend.
Right.
Because this is the story I want to tell, and I'll just tell the cliff notes about Sid's huge penis. Was at that party that we had at my house in the freezing ass cold pool. We got people over. We're doing I remember because we had a video camera, and I wish I could find the tape.
Was it.
My mom has it. Yeah. We were doing the damn Tootsie Roll.
Oh, Sheila.
And everywhere.
Sheila needs to find that tape.
We had the football team in the pool. We were like running plays, playing like tackle football. The cheerleaders were cheering along the side of the pool.
In their bikinis.
In their shit, doing a Tootsie Roll and all that. And then we're all getting out of the pool. And remember, this was freezing cold water. So a normal human's penis is 3 times smaller than normal.
Is inside their body cavity.
And so Sid gets out, and his is still hanging out the bottom of his basketball shorts. And this is him freezing ass cold.
He's like, oh, excuse me, it's so tiny.
Yeah, he's like, please don't look. This is embarrassing. And I got nothing at that point. Like, I'm sitting on 0. I'm like, God, dog, Sid, you are the biggest, freakiest motherfucker.
That's the story he told me where, like, every time he talks about one of your brothers, I'm like, Panther Tail?
That's Sid. Sid.
It's not a bad, like,
no,
thing
and
to be known
I'm
by.
not trying to be rude or anything. I would never say names or anything, but, you know, there's no way you would have to practice and practice safely to have enjoyable sex with Sid McGinnis. Like, it would take work.
He's
like,
married, isn't he?
I'm sure, yeah, but I mean, I'm sure it took some time. That dude's got a huge cock.
It takes some stretching and
he has to be patient. He can't be aggressive.
Kegel exercises.
Yeah,
he needs a bunch of was it Kegel, whatever it is.
And they need some Spunk Lube.
No, and the thing about Sid is he was never like flamboyant about his humongous cock. Like,
he was probably self-conscious about it.
Of course he was, but I would have been the opposite. I've been like, shit, man, fuck all yeah. Look at this huge dick.
No, you think that, but then when you have it, it's like because especially when you're younger, because I mean, girls are apprehensive about having sex with a regular sized dick. Like, I mean, and then anybody that would see that would be like,
oh, it's a monster.
Never mind.
Dude, that guy. And he's just
yeah, I'd be like, let's just talk.
Yeah. But all right, well, this question, Fred, is for you. It's funny. I want to see what your thoughts are. It says, Fred, James Harden is the best player in the NBA. Prove me wrong.
Oh, I know who asked that.
James Harden is the best player in the NBA. Prove you wrong. James won MVP this past year. Here's the thing about that. He didn't have the year he had prior to that.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah. I would have definitely been on board with James Harden 2 years ago, but this year LeBron still had a better year, and I am not the LeBron lover that like my brother said. I'm the Kobe guy, and I don't like, but I respect game. James Harden's top 4, 5 maybe, but not the best player in the NBA. I think LeBron's still the best player in the NBA.
Well, James doesn't play much D.
At
right?
all.
Yeah, like he doesn't play like the Black Mamba and MJ and all the great people. They get underestimated on their defense. People forget how good.
You forget that those guys were all defensive players and MVPs in the same year. Come on, dude, you don't do that.
Scoring the most points and defensive.
Well, so I've got to get your take because I know this already from knowing you. But so because you have never been a LeBron nut rider. I know that. But him going to the Lakers, how is that? What do you think? And this ties into the next question because it's thoughts on LeVar Ball. Also, are the Big Baller brand shoes worth a fuck?
All right. I'll tackle the LeBron going to LA question first.
All right.
As a Laker fan, I expect major big things from LeBron. I recognize that he's a global superstar and he's great with the community and all this, the great stuff that he does. But all I want to do is win. If he's in LA and they're talking, he's the greatest of all time, and you're going in the shadow of people like Kobe, Magic, Shaq, all these greats, prove it. So this is proven season for him. He's got to prove it. I initially, when I was in Hawaii when I heard it, that LeBron had signed, and I initially was like, man, no, like blah blah blah. But then I accepted it because there's nothing I could do about it. But he's got a target on his back, man, and he's got to step up. That move means that we should be Western Conference champions.
Oh, anything less is unacceptable.
Right. I don't care who Golden State has.
Mm-hmm.
We're supposed to win it. If LeBron's in LA, that move, we're supposed to win it.
Yep. Well, now, so go ahead. Go ahead and finish what you're saying.
LeVar Ball?
Yes.
He's LeVar Ball.
Yep.
Is the best troll ever. And here's why I say
he really is. That's a great point.
He's the best troll ever. Here's why I say what person that has a kid would not love to be in LeVar Ball's footsteps at this time? Here's why. His shoes at this time. Man, he's developed a brand off of his mouth.
Sure has.
Not what he's capable of doing. Not schooling. Not going to school at college to be something like a corporate manager or anything like this. He's developed a global brand off of his mouth and his kids' ability to play basketball.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of the smartest people. I don't agree with everything he says. He's one of the smartest people, I think. And he should get the nod on the way he's created their brand and on the way he markets his kids. He should get a nod on that. Now, does he always say the right thing? No, he does not. But he's a great businessman. And those shoes are fucking terrible.
Okay.
No, they're not worth it.
That's all I care. They just released the new ZO2s. Motherfuckers are $495
for tennis shoes.
Basketball
those
shoes.
Those shoes are terrible.
$95.
Please tell me fucking Griffin doesn't want those for Christmas.
Griffin is a shoe. Griffin is a shoey. He's like, fuck those shoes.
Right.
Yeah.
Griffin likes Jordans, James Hardens.
Yeah.
He likes the shoes Fred likes. Like, I love that about Griffin. Griffin's got a smooth shoe love. You know, he's on point. If he started asking me for big baller brand shoes, I'd tell him to kick rocks. Yeezys are fucking...
Yeezys are the best. They're worth every penny. Let me tell you something.
Hey, but here's what I wanted to ask you about LeVar that I think, and I'm not a black guy, but I'm trying to look at it from the perspective of all my friends in my life, is that I think a lot of kids would love to have a father that believed in them as much as, because you can dispute a whole lot of shit that LeVar Ball says, and he definitely says some bullshit and is a distraction at times. But you can't say he doesn't love his boys. You cannot say that. If you do, you're lying.
And that's what it's about, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why I can't throw him all the way out like some people do. I have to be like, you know one thing? That motherfucker loves his kids for real.
Hey, what if we all went to the extreme of promoting our kids and promoting ourselves the way he does?
No shit. Just being such a male role model that believes in you, in his kids' lives, those kids could easily be on the other spectrum where they didn't have a male role model coming up, but they don't. Yeah, they have a dad that fucking believed in them. Like he will still swear to you that any three of his kids and him are better than Michael Jordan. And he believes it.
And he believes it.
He's not fucking around. He believes it.
He's an idiot, but he believes it.
I know.
On that situation, he believes it. He's an idiot on that situation.
All right.
But him being there for his kids, how could you get upset at that?
I agree. Well, this one we kind of covered, but I want to hit it because it's a good question. It's clearly from somebody that must have known us from high school when I put out that you were coming on. But because they have to know your background, they said, Fred, what advice do you have for a youngster that's growing up in the projects without a male role model and facing pressure to run with the wrong crowd?
Wow, that's an excellent question. That's an excellent question.
Yeah, it's definitely somebody that knows you, knows your story.
Right. So here's your thing right there. Here's what I had to accept right away with my father not being there until later on in my life. Mm-hmm. During those years where it was decision time.
Sure.
Am I going right or am I going left?
Yep.
There is somebody that you can reach out to that can play that father role that you need. Give the advice of a man that you need, from a man that you need. Guess what? I mean, Tony was young. Tony was young. We was growing up Tony's 5 years older than me. So Tony wasn't always able to be the father figure. So what I did was I latched on to people like Eugene Phillips, Mr. Williams, guys like that who ran the Boys and Girls Club.
That's where I was just about to go.
You know what I mean? Because it's always somebody in the community. I don't care how bad the community is. There's somebody in that community that wants you to succeed, that wants you to do well. Find that person, be it a neighbor, be it an older neighbor, be it an older cousin, be it a teacher at school. Find somebody that you can talk to about what you're going through. Because if you don't, those friends that want you to go down that wrong path are going to be your comfort zone. Once they become your comfort zone, there's no turning back. Well, so you got to find someone that you can talk to.
So how important of a role would you say the Boys and Girls Club played in the McGinnis boys' upbringing? Because I know, I know how involved it was in all of y'all's lives, but our listeners don't.
Yes, it was definitely a huge role. Man, we were the first when they brought the Boys and Girls Club out to Mason Court. The first two members were Sed and Tony. I was too young to join. They gave me a what you call an honorary membership until I turned 5. Yeah. So we were the first 3 members that joined that place. And to this day, there's nothing that Tony's still involved.
Yeah. Tony
is they're still involved in some way or shape or form there at the Boys and Girls Club. And man, that played a huge role because what they did was when we left the house, everybody else was leaving the house going, on the wrong side of the tracks. Mm-hmm. We were leaving the house going to the Boys and Girls Club, playing pool, doing arts crafts, playing in the gym when they finally got a gym up. So there was always something that we could do. We could leave out. Hey, we ate 2 meals at the Boys and Girls Club.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, so it played a huge role, man. It played a huge role. It helped us out a lot. Just having Eugene them there, to help guide us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the Boys and Girls Club, I can't say, just from my experience of knowing my close friends that were involved in it in Huntsville, how important that place is on a globe or a national scale. And watching crazy. Tony when we were older, when we were finishing up high school and stuff, that's why I always looked up to Tony so much, because I remember his involvement when we would go back, after football practices and go, and he's, just something about whatever it was, and I don't know if you know the answer, but for Tony, I don't know, man. He's always just had a passion to serve and to help kids in the predicament that you guys were in, and he's never stopped. He's never wavered from that. That guy has my eternal respect, because if anybody walks what they talk, it's Tony McGinnis.
Tony is the rare breed, man. Tony's one of those guys that you could never say a bad word about. You know that? He's too good for politics.
I agree.
Remember you and I talked?
Yep.
And it was like, I said, he's too good for politics.
I don't want politics to ruin him. Yes, I don't want people to make up bullshit about a guy that has an unblemished record in my eyes.
Yes, he's one of those guys, man. He's just happened to be my big brother. That's just doesn't have a blemish on it when it comes to never treated anybody crappy. I have.
He's never been in nothing scandalous. I have. He's just a good dude. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I'm just glad to be in business with him. You'll see soon. Tony and I we're launching McGinnis Realty Group next week or two.
No, you guys are killing it. I was going to go into that when we wrap up. No, he's in Huntsville, isn't he?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's in Huntsville. We're gonna do a McGinnis Realty Group Nashville and the McGinnis Realty Group.
Just cover the whole area
that's
in
smart.
between Nashville,
Straight up
Huntsville.
65.
Yeah.
Yep. So
That's
it's
smart.
gonna be beautiful.
That's a lot of real estate.
Yeah, exactly. And he's I hate bragging on my brother because it's my brother. I don't want to be like, hey, I'm blowing my brother's horn, but he's solid, dude.
He's
solid.
And I know, I bet he has had pressure to get into politics at multiple levels, and I'm glad he hasn't. I really am. He's
just going to continue to fight in the underbelly. He's in with the right people who's getting stuff done that's not in front of the cameras. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we're going to continue to do that, and we'll change as much as possible doing that, and if need be, he'll step to the forefront. But right now, we can get stuff done the way we're doing it now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, damn, brother, that was the last question we got for you, man. We went a little bit over an hour. I don't want to hold you up, man. But, dude, I appreciate you coming on, man. Hey, you know I love talking with you, man. You're my brother.
I know, bro. We have to do this again because we only hit on a couple things. You know what I mean?
We only hit on a scotch of junior year. We hadn't hit on nothing.
Right.
We didn't even crack
we didn't hit on everything. We didn't
drop
hit
in the bucket.
Oh man!
Of all the shenanigans.
Bro, it's a lie. Next time I'm coming to Atlanta for the Braves playoffs game, so we're gonna sit down and talk and have beers.
Yes. Let's do it.
Let me tell you, Brooke, there's a lot of stuff you need to know.
There is.
She probably knows most of it, but
he's been so forthcoming.
I know he's transparent. I know he's transparent.
But I feel like there's some nuggets in there
you
that
can't
Fred
remember
McGinnis
everything,
has.
of course.
Yeah.
Right. I can always enhance his story because I was like, hey, you remember this though?
Oh yeah.
So,
he would never stop you from telling me anything.
No, God no. I want to laugh as much as anybody.
Right. That's
but
awesome.
Yeah, when you come in town for anything Braves, you let us know. We'll get a sitter. I want to see you and hug you and hang out with you.
Yeah, we need to hang out for sure.
And we're right by the stadium, so we'll make
I know
it
now
happen.
that the Braves are in, we're not far from there. We're not right by there, but
plus I want to meet your
so much closer.
Your beautiful fiance in person.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
When are y'all going to get married?
We're looking at May of next year.
Beautiful.
May of next year. Yeah, so that'll be a year of the whole engagement.
Man, she is way too pretty for you, sir.
She's beautiful.
Hey, man, you talking about outkick my coverage.
I know. No shit. You're an old lucky motherfucker. Well, all right, brother, man. I'll let you get out of here, man. We'll holler at you later, bro.
All right. Thank y'all, man.
Yeah, man. We love you, brother. Later.
Bye.
All right.
Yeah.
That was the funnest shit.
I love Fred.
Fred is the shit, man. His story is so good, and I forget about it because I was so involved with him, but him and his two brothers all being successful like they are is some shit that should be in a documentary.
And they need their own documentary. But, I mean, you would be in there because Oh, sure. I'm not worried about that part, but yeah, I would definitely be in there with them, driving them around and hanging out and him getting... Y'all were all heavy influences in each other's lives, obviously.
Yeah. Old Fred. God, those were funny stories. Him shitting himself during the game. Robert Owen. Robert's going to love that story.
I think my favorite is, though, Brandy, busting out the military tactics to...
That shit's real.
I believe it.
I know. But what dad would be like, okay, sons, I'm cool with this assault that we're about to pull off.
No, babe.
I know.
Your dad?
Nobody rational would be like, all right, boys, I'm going to put the okay on this. I'm going to put the okay on the baseball bat.
There's a lot of things that might have happened in Randy's head that weren't the best decisions, but some of it worked out, some of it didn't.
No, I just now rethought about when telling that story when we were going house to house telling parents to get their kids out of bed.
And Randy had signed off on going house to house asking people
I just took off after the guy that I saw in my car.
Yeah, and they're like, yes, here. when you're holding baseball bats and shit.
No, a couple of them really did, and brought the kid to the door, and we were like, okay, it wasn't you, or I was, because I'm the only one that saw him.
Yeah,
I was running.
And what if they weren't wearing their jacket anymore?
That's why if they looked similar to who I saw,
you'd be
I said, go get your jacket. Pull out your jackets, because I saw it was like a black jacket, had a a hood, and it was down past his ass, like a longer jacket.
And people are complying with this request.
The few that answered the door, not many people are going to answer the door at like 2 a.m.
So, okay, I just thought about this. Sherwood Park, there was, I'm guessing the streets were all named like Robin Hood and Marion.
It's crazy. Robin Hood Lane was one. I lived on Marsh Avenue.
Okay. Yeah. There was, okay, Susan lived in a neighborhood, the first house her and Jim bought, that was like the size of this kitchen. Mm-hmm. It was a 1-bedroom, 1-bath, like, it was a cute little house, but it was on Marion Drive, and it was in some kind of Sherwood Estates or something. Yeah. And then, like, there was a Sherwood something or other in Baton Rouge where all the roads were like Marion whatever and Robin Hood Lane, and like,
yeah, our house was way smaller than this one. It was probably, if you went that wall to this wall, and then when you walked in, you either went down to a tiny basement, real small, or you went up to the
split
bedrooms,
level,
and there was a tiny kitchen right here, and that was it. I mean, it had that old ass pool. Now we took advantage of that old ass pool, because when you're kids, you don't care how cold it is.
You don't care how cold it is. That's what I'm saying.
But
like
it was never comfortable.
You were, I mean, but because was there a lot of trees or it was shaded?
Tons of trees, and it was concrete. It was old school. It was made in like
nowadays
the 50s.
Though, like liners are not. They tear. Like concrete.
Oh, they're more of a problem, but they help keep it warmer than concrete.
Nowadays, like Beth's pool, I think is concrete.
Yeah, but I think they put
it's a better technology now.
It's more porous so that it can get
and like
heat.
that house that Casey was house sitting for, like that was definitely a concrete pool. But yeah, it's just better. It was like straight up. They just poured concrete in a hole.
A bowl, like you could have skated in it and loved it when
it was one of those.
Drained. Yeah, it's like one of those.
From like Gleaming the Cube.
Just like that.
How tempted were you to drain the pool and gleam the cube?
Not at all, because we could have people come and swim cold as shit.
Oh, you weren't into that either.
No, I mean my brother was.
I know.
He skated, and I skated for years until like football became my big
until
thing.
Football happened.
Until middle school, up till middle school, I skated with
like,
Chris all the time.
Chris, I can get way more girls with football.
Well, and I don't want to smoke cigarettes, Chris.
Oh, I was more like, I would have dated Chris back then.
I don't want to smoke. I don't want to smoke Randy's Winston's, Chris.
Yeah.
I don't want to listen to The Cure.
Chris, oh fuck you.
I don't want to listen to I don't want to sit in the woods and listen to The Cure.
And smoke cigarettes. Yeah, that was me and Chris would have been best friends.
Yeah, that was
Which is Chris's birthday today, by the way. So happy birthday,
yeah, we're
Chris.
gonna call him in just a minute when we go back here. And
okay, and we need to go.
All right, well let's wrap this up. This was awesome. I just want to give you guys a glimpse into the legend since we've talked about him on the show.
The man, the myth, the legend.
Fred McGinnis, and when him and Tony launched their real estate company, we will blast it out to share with everyone, because anything that the McGinnis boys do, I will support.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, you guys stick something up your ass and fuck yourselves.
Okay. I'm going to stop it because you hit record.